On his RSVP, he just wrote no, just no, which happens to be his second favorite N-word.
I made it up.
What's up, guys? It's your boy Benny. We've often said on this program that the demand for woke racism often outstrips the supply. And what do we mean by that? Well, there's plenty of racism in society. There's plenty of structural racism in society. It's just against white people. Ibram X. Kendi, the king of the anti-racist, read racist, movement against white people, said that the only cure for past racism is present-day racism. And who do you think that's against? So there's plenty of racism in society. It's just that the demand for racism by white people against minority groups far outstrips the actual supply. And that is evidenced here in this latest embarrassing saga by a guy who calls himself a comedian, but I don't think anyone would ever consider actually funny, Hasan Minhaj and his emotional truths. This guy has been given a bunch of Netflix stand-up specials. He was even at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, the host there. His biggest crime is, of course, not actually being funny, yet calling himself a comedian. His second biggest crime is that all of his stories are lies. And as you could well imagine, all of his stories are made-up racist stories about how hard his life has been in America as a Muslim, when in fact he had to legitimately lie and fabricate story after story after story, and his entire shtick is false, just made up in order to dunk on America, in order to uphold this vision that we are a racist and evil country. This guy is a complete fraud, and I hope that his career goes down in total flames. Hasan Minhaj is his name, and this guy had a show called Patriot Act. It was a Netflix series. He grew up in post-9/11 America, and instead of being thankful for the fact that in probably any other country that had some type of horrible terrorist event, that maybe he would face some type of like horrific discrimination, or people would actually like really treat him bad. In fact, he's gone on to have an incredibly successful career and is in the runnings to be the new host of The Daily Show. But that doesn't stop him from having to make up that didn't actually happen in order to try and play the victim. Yeah. Minhaj discussed the white powder incident in interviews without taking opportunity to clarify the events as he describes on stage, including his daughter's hospitalization, didn't actually happen. Oh, so he made up a joke about getting white powder at his house, but it was all lies. And that his daughter had to be hospitalized? What kind of a sick sociopath does that? I remember in that moment going, oh, sometimes the envelope pushes back, he told the Daily Beast in 2022. I asked him if he felt that he had manipulated his audience. No, I don't think I'm manipulating, he told me. I think they're coming for the emotional roller coaster ride. He went on, to the people that are like, oh, yo, that was crazy. It didn't happen. I would say, F yes, that's the point. Huh? But was his invention of a traumatic experience with his child, or with law enforcement entrapment distasteful, given the moral heft of those things? Well, it's grounded in truth, Minhaj says. But it didn't happen to you, says the reporter. But this didn't happen. You're lying. What a sociopath. Another lie, of course, because lying about your daughter being sent anthrax isn't evil enough, is that Minhaj was dumped by a white girl at prom. Turns out that that's actually all a lie as well. Minhaj often talks about his immigrant upbringing and the social alienation that sometimes comes with being a racial minority in his hometown. Where was this hometown? It was Davis, California, outside of San Francisco. Got it? Outside of Oakland. Between Oakland and San Francisco and Sacramento, California. Got it? So real oppression, the San Francisco, right? The real heart of white supremacy and racism in America, right? Evil right-wing San Francisco. Homecoming King, which was released in 2017, is about a crush on a friend, a white girl with whom he shared a stolen kiss and who has accepted his invitation to prom but later reneged in a humiliating fashion. Minhaj showed up on her doorstep the night of the dance only to see another boy putting a corsage on her wrist. On stage, Minhaj says that his friend's parents didn't want their daughter to take pictures with a brown boy because they were concerned about what their relatives might think. except for all of it's a lie. The woman disputed certain facts. She told me she'd turned down Minaj, who was then a close friend, in person days before the dance. Goes on to say that she's actually engaged when talking about how her family couldn't stand her being with a brown kid from Davis, California. She's actually engaged to an Indian guy. So Minaj was asked about this, and he says about the fabrication of these details, and he just said the emotional truth of the story is true because there are other kids who had similar sort of doorstep experiences. Got it? So he's able to lie about his own life because someone else in the world may have actually experienced this. The woman is now engaged to an Indian guy. That's how racist she is. That's how racist this entire story. Again, like, also, you're joking, right? You're growing up in Davis, California. You're growing up outside of San Francisco and Oakland, California. And you're claiming that everyone is racist. The woman says that Minaj had invited her and her husband to an off-Broadway performance. She had initially interpreted the invitation as an attempt to rekindle. Now she believes that the move was meant to humiliate her. Later, she said, when confronted about it on Minaj about the online threats brought by the Netflix special, I spent years trying to get threads taken down. Minaj shrugged off her concerns. Minaj said that he didn't recall that interaction and pointed out the fact that he had been in touch with her prior to the airing of the special, recommending that she scrub social media posts that might indicate her relationship with her. Minaj also noted the tone of their texts and emails was always friendly. What's the truth in this instance? Well, the truth is that it's all a lie. Everything that this guy says is a lie. And now his friends and people that know him are starting to come forward online and say, yeah, we've always known that this guy was a dirty, evil liar and that he was making up a victimhood status in order to preach sermons of wokeness to American audiences and to create fame for himself. Much of Minaj's comedy acts came from relaying his personal experiences, as in an Indian Muslim. Minaj claimed to have experienced decades of racism and cruelty from ignorant Americans. Those stories weren't really comedy, although they sometimes included some half-hearted jokes. They were supposed to provoke emotional response from the audiences. This is woke comedy. Woke comedy isn't comedy at all. This is just giving a political speech. But much like Joe Biden or Kamala Harris's administration, again, the supply of racism in America outstrips the demand for woke racism. The problem is that many of these stories were fake. The lies go well beyond the artistic licenses expected in comedians. Here are some examples of the fabrications. Claiming that he was sent white powder, which he and his wife believe was anthrax, as a threat, causing them to rush their young daughter to the hospital after she was exposed. Minaj admitted the story was fake, though he claimed he once received white powder as a joke. Oh, got it. Okay, something funny to joke about. Claiming that he almost felt entrapped by federal agents infiltrating his mosque after the 9/11 attacks, only for Minaj to recognize that the undercover agent's intent and mess with him by saying incriminating things, which led to Minaj being roughed up by police. This was completely made up. Claiming he was almost entrapped by federal agents infiltrating his mosque after the 9/11 attacks, only for Minaj to recognize the undercover agent's intent and mess with them by saying incriminating things, which led to Minaj being roughed up by police. This entire story is completely made up, all of it. The Minaj claims it was based off of being fouled during a baseball game with middle-aged white men who he assumed were undercover cops. This guy is a sick puppy. Claiming to have set up an interview with Saudi Arabian embassy about him speaking with Mohammed bin Salman, Minaj claimed the meeting quickly became hostile, and then immediately after the meeting, news broke of the Saudi killing of the media figure Jamal Khashoggi, causing his wife and co-workers to be relieved that he didn't go through with the interview of bin Salman. Minaj's meeting actually occurred a month before Khashoggi was killed. These lies are strange, but at least they serve Minaj's political purpose. He was a vocal critic of President Trump, especially Trump's immigration policies and hard line against Islamic terrorism. Other lies were more bizarre and revealed the heart of Minaj's motivations. In particular, in one of his stand-up shows, he detailed how a friend with a white girl had a secret romance that was hidden due to racism. And now he's getting backlash online from other Muslims. Yes, it matters that Hasan Minhaj lies. He exploits the culture of victimhood fomented by Muslim establishments like the Council of American and Islamic Relations. Their shtick is the alleged victimhood of Muslims. They don't care that we don't want to be victims. That's right. because victimhood, of course, is all that matters. So this guy is, again, like a fraud. His crimes against his own, like, he should be sued, quite frankly, by these people whose lives he's destroyed, because he slanders his own friends as racists when they are not. He makes up lies in order to get money about his family, about the FBI, about, like, some innocent white girl that he dated in high school. What a sick freak. However, possibly the greatest lie of his life is claiming that he is a comedian, which he is not. Hasan Minhaj is not funny. He just tells made-up stories to give political speeches. Here's a great example of that.
Welcome to the series finale of the White House Correspondents' Dinner. We gotta address the elephant that's not in the room. The leader of our country is not here. And that's because he lives in Moscow. It is a very long flight. It'd be hard for Vlad to make it. Vlad can't just make it on a Saturday. It's a Saturday. As for the other guy, I think he's in Pennsylvania because he can't take a joke. You know Donald Trump doesn't drink, right? Does not touch alcohol, which is oddly respectable. But think about that. That means every statement, every interview, every tweet, completely sober. How is that possible? You know that statement, anything is possible, used to have a positive connotation? Anything is possible. Now we're all like, anything is possible. Now, a lot of people think Steve Bannon is the reason Donald Trump dog whistles to racists. And that is just not true. Ask Steve Bannon. Is Steve Bannon here? I do not see Steve Bannon. I do not see Steve Bannon. Not see Steve Bannon. Jeff Sessions couldn't be here tonight. He was busy doing a pre-Civil War reenactment. On his RSVP, he just wrote no, just no, which happens to be his second favorite N-word. Sean Spicer's been doing PR since 1999. He has been doing his job for 18 years. And somehow, after 18 years, his go-to move when you ask him a tough question is denying the Holocaust. Now's the time to be a liar, and Donald Trump is liar in chief. And remember, you guys are public enemy number one. You are his biggest enemy. Journalists, ISIS, normal length ties. Fox News is here. I'm amazed you guys even showed up. How are you here in public? It's hard to trust you guys when you backed a man like Bill O'Reilly for years, but it finally happened. Bill O'Reilly has been fired. But then you gave him a $25 million severance package, making it the only package he won't force a woman to touch. But every time I watch CNN, it feels like you're assigning me homework. Is Trump a Russian spy? I don't know. You tell me. Tweet us at AC360. No, you tell me. We're 100 days in, 1,360 days to go. You guys are running the marathon, and I'm at the half-mile mark giving you tape for your nipples. Because this event is about celebrating the First Amendment and free speech. Free speech is the foundation of an open and liberal democracy. From college campuses to the White House. Only in America can a first-generation Indian-American Muslim kid get on this stage and make fun of the president.